Công Tắc, Ho-Fap defender of the doctrine, commonly translated as Pope Công Tắc 1890–1959, was one of the most important leaders in the establishment, construction, development, and consolidation of the system of the Cao Đài religion. This religion was founded in 1926. Religious life. The first disciple of the first 12 disciples, he was the most important leaders of Cao Đài, a new religion, in the process of construction and perfection of the religious mechanism. He was leader of the Tay Ninh branch, the dominant branch of Cao Đài in southern Vietnam. His authority, however, was not uncontested. A top-level medium. In 1925, he and his two colleagues Cao Quyên Khu and Cao Hoi Sang tried to contact with spiritual entities through spirit communications. On 25/4/1926, 18 mediums were chosen by God to spread his teachings and carry out his instructions. Of those, Công Tắc was the most important medium. It was he who wrote out the Cao Đài religious constitution and most of the scriptures currently worshipped by Cao Đàists. He was promoted to Ho-Fap, one of the top-ranking posts of the clergy. An organizer. In 1927, transferred to Cambodia by the colonial government, he seized the opportunity to establish Cao Đài foreign missions under spiritual guidance. After acting Gio Tong Le Van Trung's death, he became the religious head and established a number of other religious organs. Arguably, most of the relatively complex religious structure owed him the full development as we know it. An architect, he himself both gave the order to begin the construction of the Tay Ninh Holy See and later officiated the inauguration. Without this temple, Cao Đài might not have become a well-organized religion. Furthermore, other buildings and houses were set up under his supervision, including the Temple of Intuition, the Temple of Enlightenment, Long Hoa Market, the Temple of Acknowledgement, the Temple of the Goddess. Others were planned for more favorable conditions, such as the Temple of Thousands of Dharma, a priest spreading God's teachings. In addition to the responsibilities of religious leadership, he was a true missionary who, in the name of God, preached the new doctrines. Not to mention numerous religious speeches. He gave speeches on the Holy Never pathway and esoteric practice which were shorthanded by stenographists and published in 1970. These documents were considered among the most significant scriptures due to their content of Cao Đài philosophy, as well as the ways of religious practice. A leading religious figure in Vietnam from 1940s to 1950s. In 1941, many Vietnamese rebellions against French colonists broke out throughout the country. French rulers did what they could to crush the movement, imprisoning those who challenged their power. The fact that Cao Đài developed too fast also frightened them too much to overlook this new religion. Eventually, Ho-Fap Công Tắc and at least 4 other Cao Đài dignitaries were sent into exile in Madagascar. During this period, French soldiers seized the Tay Ninh Holy See and a result, the Cao Đài armed forces were founded by General Tran Quan Vinh in southern Vietnam so as to protect Cao Đài believers as well as to overthrow the French government with Japanese military aid. However, Japanese armed forces were defeated in 1945 and withdrew to Japan. Vietnamese in general, and the Cao Đài army in particular, were faced with the Allied, then French, return to Vietnam. In 1946, the political situation changed. Faced with the threat of the communist-led Viet Minh in the south, the French decided to bring back Ho-Fap Công Tắc from exile and to ask for his cooperation in the struggle against the communists. Công Tắc agreed, but not all Cao Đài leaders followed his lead. A treaty was signed between General Tran Quan Vinh and the French colonists on 9/6/1946. From then on, Phap Pum Tak collaborated with the French with the aim of securing the independence of at least the southern part of Vietnam. In 1954, Vietnamese head of state Cao Đài asked Phap Pum Tak to be one of the advisors for the Vietnamese delegates in Geneva, Switzerland. He went to Paris and tried to prevent Vietnam from being partitioned. However, his persuasion failed, so he returned to Vietnam. In 1955, General Nguyen Van Phuong, unofficially instigated by Ngo Dinh Nhu, surrounded Tay Ninh Holy See, demanding an internal purification, which was actually a raid on those who opposed Ngo Dinh Diem's regime. So critical was the situation that Phap Pum Tak had to flee the country, seeking political asylum in Cambodia. He lived there until his death in 1959. An author, a symbol of esotericism for Caodaists. It is believed that Phap Pum Tak was taught how to practice esotericism by God. He himself established the first meditation house, the Temple of Intuition, and entered for the first esoteric performance. However, there has been no evidence that he taught someone else to do so. He was the only Cao Đài leader who did a lot of preaching on esoteric and exoteric practices of Cao Đài. Therefore, he is considered the master of Cao Đài esotericism. Conclusion. The life of Pum Tak exemplifies the early history of the Cao Đài religion from its founding in 1925 until 1956, when he left the Tay Ninh Holy See. He is revered as one of the most beloved disciples of the great Cao Đài God. At 37 years of age, he was ordained by God as the highest dignitary of Hic Thien Dai. Since then he dedicated the rest of his life to service of Cao Đài. From within the grounds of the Holy See to the surrounding areas throughout Tay Ninh province, from temples to mansions, from small roadways to large highways and bridges, from the local markets to townhouses, from schools to hospitals, nursing homes to orphanages. Though he is no longer with us, his spirit and energy lives on in each of the Cao Đài disciple many generations since. According to Cao Đài Cardinal Nguyen Huong Hieu and Cao Đài juridical renovator Tuong Ho Duc, without him there is no Cao Đài religion, because God came to Ngo Minh Chiu only to make it known that he is the great teacher, calling himself Cao Đài the great sage without assigning specific duties as he later did Pum Tak. This statement speaks of his great significance in the organization and proliferation of the Cao Đài teachings. With this work concerning the Cao Đài faith and contribution to humanity, historian and Cao Đài dignitary Tran Van Rang summed up Pum Tak's life in the book A Portrait of Pum Tak in the following way: an unwavering soul, of great courage, great fortitude, and great compassion.